大家好，我係 Chloe，我今年6歲，喺2036年我就會入大學，2040年我就會出嚟做嘢㗎啦。如果我好似爺爺咁65歲退休，我會一直做到2083年，唔知到時個世界會變成點嘅呢？
Hello， 大家好，好得意係咪啊 ，Chloe？ 歡迎大家今日嚟到生成 AI 對教育影響嘅研討會。我係 Solomon Learning 嘅 Gisa。今日我哋好熱鬧啊，線上線下咧有超過1000個人報名參加今日嘅研討會啊。好似頭先聽到 Chloe 咁講，2040年佢就開始出嚟做嘢啦，仲要做到2083年喎。哇，2083年係幾咁遙遠啊！完全係超乎我哋嘅想像。懷住謙卑嘅心，積極探索，致力培養幸福嘅下一代咧，係 Solomon Learning 嘅宗旨。希望今日嘅研討會咧，可以俾大家對 AI 有更加廣泛嘅討論。喺開始之前咧，我想同大家做一個小小嘅 exercise 先。麻煩大家而家拎出你嘅手機啊！線上面嘅朋友都可以一齊拎住個手機做呢個 exercise 嘅喎。麻煩你而家 scan 咗呢個 QR code， 或者去 mentimeter.com 打入呢個 code 都可以。好，我哋俾多少少時間，等線上線下嘅朋友都慢慢入呢一個 website 先。哦，原來不停咁撳個 like， 你睇唔睇到？我哋而家有300幾個人入咗去啦。好啦，而家我首先讀下第一條題目先啊。我哋係不記名嘅，所以盡情咁樣用最老實嘅自己去回答啊。你哋有冇用過 chatbot 咧？譬如係ChatGPT 啊，或者 POE 咁樣。OK。話有將近300個人已經答咗啦，咦？一半一半喎。不如我哋睇下下一條題目啦。越來越多 AI 嘅應用，你覺得點呢？你覺得擔心啊？覺得好期待啊？定係兩樣都有啲咁樣呢？ 兩樣都有啲嘅人好似比較多。好，第3條啦，你覺得 AI 可以幫助你日常工作嗎？好啦，再下一條啦。你認為 AI 對教育嘅影響有幾大呢？好少啊，定係其實會好大啊？好，再去下一條。你認為 Generative AI 最大嘅影響喺邊度呢？可以揀多過一項㗎，呢個問題。課程啊，學習方法、作業、考試定係評核呢？都好平均下喎。好，再去下一條。你同意禁止學生使用 Generative AI 嗎？亦都可以揀多過一項嘅。係啊，呢個係禁止喎，禁止係咩範疇啊？Sorry， 唔係好聽清楚。我揀錯咗。OK。所以揀嘅時候要好小心我哋。好啦，我就大概知道你哋大家咧對於 AI 嘅睇法啦。其實咧 AI 人工智能咧，我哋聽咗好多年嘅啦，即係而且科技日新月異啦，喺好多範疇其實都有用到 AI， 醫療啊、航天啊、製造業啊，咁好多地方都用得到。但係咧，其實好似同我哋唔係好切身咁嘅。之前一直都覺得好似有啲距離咁。直至到有一樣嘢 ChatGPT 呢種 chatbot 出現咗之後咧，突然之間咧 AI 好似人人都伸手可及咁，好似普通人個個都可以用咁樣。好多方面咧都引起咗好多革命性嘅改變，全世界都喺度討論緊呢樣嘢。好似突然間我哋個個去咗未來世界咁樣。所以我哋今日咧就希望聚焦喺呢一個討論度，究竟 Generative AI 對教育嘅影響有幾多呢？好，首先我哋開始由李開復教授通過錄像形式幫我哋揭開今日嘅序幕先。李教授係知名嘅中國科技家，亦都係前任 Google 嘅中國總裁，喺人工智能同埋喺人工智能嘅領域嘅專家，曾經被《時代》雜誌評選為世界最具影響力嘅100位人物之一。咁我哋而家睇下李教授。
Hi, thank you for inviting me to speak at this very meaningful education forum. The advent of ChatGPT and many other technologies that we at Innovation Ventures call AI 2.0 is incredibly important because what differs with this AI 2.0 from AI 1.0 is that AI 1.0 really is building an AI app for each app. So if you have TikTok, AI learns to do something with TikTok, like recommendations. Or if you have Amazon, AI learns to guess what products you might want to buy. And if you have AI for speech recognition or facial recognition, that's what the AI learns. All the AIs are silos trained on specific data for that application only, and it doesn't work elsewhere, and it's not universal. What AI 2.0 is the idea that why train one AI for every application? Can we possibly train one giant AI using all the data in the world so that the AI, using its quantitative brain, can summarize, conceptualize, and remember and combine ideas and generate and have discussions and really provide insight from all the knowledge in the world? Think about these AI 2.0 platforms as a super intelligent quantitative mind that reads everything in the world, and it has an encyclopedic knowledge that can answer questions, create photos and video and images that are photorealistic, and it really challenges our thinking in what technology can do in terms of emulating and actually doing things that people even cannot do. So this is truly phenomenal breakthrough. That said, there are still a lot of issues because these AI 2.0 don't yet quite know truth from fiction and makes things up, and they make mistakes, and they could be used to manipulate people. Lots of issues that need to be dealt with. But I think today we're talking about education. I think within education, technologies like this AI 2.0 is clearly a phenomenal tool that can be used for research, for understanding, for helping to write papers and summarize and helping kids to learn and grow. It's a great tool. But it also is not an independent autonomous product because of the errors that it has. So a student using a ChatGPT must keep in mind not everything is correct and has to learn to fact check. And ChatGPT can only be used as an expansion of ideas from which the student still should come up with to do the actual work and to do the actual summarization and pick out the ideas that are correct and meaningful and structure them. So these technologies are for human AI symbiosis, okay, not really like a search engine replacement. So I think the idea of banning ChatGPT for education is rather short-sighted because technologies will always move forward. The flaws will get fixed over time and is a phenomenal tool if you understand its limitations. So I think as a tool, it's not just one tool. We should be looking forward to a future when there will be a new PowerPoint, a new Photoshop, a new Word, a new Excel. These will all be rewritten. This is how exciting this AI 2.0 revolution is. The future search engine will allow you to ask a question and give you one answer. And the future e-commerce and advertising will show you one specific ad or product description that specifically targets that individual. And in the future, the PowerPoint should create your talk based on just knowing your thoughts, and it will be organized and developed with graphics and proper images and connect perfectly to you. The future Photoshop will create images not by taking pictures and editing them, but just by creating pictures that you described, and then you can make tweaks and changes by perhaps just talking to it or by using constructs that are not at the pixel level. So what this means is the future top people in particular professions will not be craftspeople. They will not be people who do repetitive work. AI will do that repetitive work. So if you think about, a brilliant marketeer who thinks about how to market, Pepsi or a cosmetic product or a car or what have you, that person has ideas, described in words. And now those words don't need to be communicated to someone who draws pictures or who edits photos, but they can be communicated to a intelligent AI that will do a better, faster job. So in the future, the people who will keep their jobs and actually become amplified with AI capabilities, so they're more productive, more influential, more impactful, will be the top 10% of the people who have creativity and insight and ability to analyze and extrapolate and strategize and take one field to another and are truly creative and come up with new ideas using that human ingenuity. And the routine work of drawing a picture, writing a paragraph, will be delegated to AI that will over time do a much better job than most people. So what's important to realize is that for education, we've got it wrong. It's not that how education should reject and keep students away from AI 2.0, but rather how education must do self-introspection on this technology revolution and what changes are required. If you think about traditional education, think about actually any area of human activity. How did humans play 1,000 years ago compared to today? Completely different. People went to opera houses or watch plays or Beijing opera. But today, people are wearing headsets with virtual reality and playing games and watching 3D movies. Think about how people used to work 1,000 years ago compared to today. Think about how people transported themselves from 1,000 years ago to today. All dramatically changed. Interestingly, in education, we still got more or less one teacher in front of a classroom trying to provide knowledge and test students on whether they remembered. But this is completely backwards and wrong, because we're at an age where the information that you pass on and the rote learning that you have the students learn are no longer the most critical thing for success. And also all of the things that you tell them and teach them, AI will be able to do better. So why are we training students to become memorization robots when they will never ever beat AI at it? Now, I do understand education as a discipline is very conservative and needs to be so, because it's honed over the last few thousand years, and we found a pretty reasonable approach and methodology and pedagogy for the current education. It worked well over the last 100 years, but what used to work won't work anymore. What got us here won't get us there. So I think for education, we need to realize that in the future, rote learning is absolutely not what's going to be required for children to realize their potential, to get a good job in society, to be able to keep their job that's not displaced by AI, and also to find satisfaction. Because rote learning was never something people should enjoy doing. It's something people have had to do, because if we don't do them, who's going to do them? So we as human race have taught our children and ourselves that rote learning is good, that if you could do rote learning, you could get a good job that's sustainable, 金饭碗, right? And that's why many desk jobs and jobs in manufacturing and all those jobs were created. And of course, do you think most of the people are happy doing rote learning, repetitive work? Perhaps not. And that's perhaps why there are these, American dream, Chinese dream that says, hey, if you work hard, you'll succeed, your family will have a better life, your children will have a better life, so work hard and you'll be rewarded. That's what we've been taught growing up. And that is not the right thing to teach. That was a necessary thing to teach, or maybe I should say brainwash the society and the human race so that people will put up with and accept the fate of doing repetitive work their whole lives because of this dream that they could provide for the family and their children will be better off. We're no longer like that. In the next 10 to 20 years, AI will do all the repetitive work. We will be liberated to do what we as human race are intended to do coming to this earth. We were not created or evolved to become repetitive machines. And we finally now have the tool of AI that will do the repetitive work, letting us do what we do best and letting us do what we and only we humans can do that AI cannot do. So education must develop in the kids the skill sets that focus on what we and only we can do. And if you think about, ancient people, whether it's Socrates or the Aristotle and the schools that were created in Alexandria, or Confucius and his disciples, or the days of Qin Qi Shu Hua, right? People really were able to do things that were intended for people to do. And now somehow with the Industrial Revolution, we've devolved into rote learning, and education was changed to fit the need to get people to do rote, repetitive, and frankly boring work. And now things are different and must change. So what is it that only we humans can do and that AI cannot do? And that is which education must evolve towards. Otherwise, our posterity will be stuck in a world where they're taught to do repetitive work, which is not valued, has no economic value, so they can't make money. And that's not important because the society will have lots of money that AI makes for us, but the biggest problem is people will become resigned to the realization that what they learn in school is useless and that any job they could get can be replaced and will be replaced by AI. And they'll be, I think the biggest issue is not how much money is made or what jobs they have, but rather people will become depressed and feel like there's no meaning of life, that people are worthless. And that, I think, will cause phenomenal depression and really potentially bring terrible things to this world. So what is it, finally, that people can do that AI cannot do? And what is that which we must teach and become the core essence of education? I have a talk called the 3 R's, and I will now transition to having the conference organizers show that video, and hopefully that will be helpful for all of us to think about education in the age of AI and how to make the world a better place with a symbiotic combination of human and artificial intelligence. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Kai-Fu Lee of Sinovation Ventures. It's my pleasure today to talk to you about artificial intelligence, its growth, opportunities, and challenges, given how fast it's grown in the past. We're seeing that AI is making all kinds of headlines. We're seeing that AI has beaten the best human game players. AI has passed all kinds of exams. And AI has even been able to generate natural language in surprising intelligence. And finally, AI has conquered a 50-year-old biology grand challenge, protein folding. So how long will this continue? How many of human capabilities will AI be able to take over? Or will AI and human work with each other symbiotically? Now let's look at the 4 waves of AI. So we've already seen examples of all 4 waves. So as I described, AI requires a lot of data in order to work well. So naturally, the first wave is the internet wave. That is the Amazon, Alibaba, Google, Tencent of the world are able to collect a lot of data and use your internet application using your data and your own clicks as a way to learn to do things. So Amazon will show you more things that you click on, and it will get better because of it. The second wave is really over businesses that happen to have a lot of data. For example, banks can use it for credit card fraud detection. Insurance company can use it to rate insurance applications. And all of that is trained based on outcome. So if you know which are the fraudulent transactions, you can detect fraud. If you know which users have defaulted, you can detect likely defaulters. So if you have a lot of data, whether it's in public policy or public sector or education or healthcare or retail, all of that can be aggregated and used to make smart predictions. The third wave is called perception. And we've given examples of computer vision and computer speech. So understanding your environment, the ability to hear and see and recognize and understand. So that's something a lot of AI can do now. We see that even our phone has cameras and it has sensors, it has microphones, you can talk to it, it can see. So we're seeing that deployed in more and more situations so that our homes will become smart, our cities will become smart as sensors are spread everywhere. You probably heard the term IoT, Internet of Things, and these are effectively sensors spread everywhere. In the past, IoT didn't quite take off, but now you can collect all the data and use AI to process the data, make sense out of it, make smart decisions, and I think that will cause all flowers to bloom in the area of perception. The final area is autonomous AI, and we've also seen some examples: robots, autonomous vehicles, smart forklifts, and cars, and arms. So that will continue to expand further and able to really take over a lot of the blue-collar work. So you can see that these four waves are really impacting the industries under the four waves, and they will mature. The more data, the better they get, and all four waves will improve over the next decade or two and able to do a lot of things for us. So that brings us to a key question, which is, as AI becomes more and more powerful, trained by more data, what type of jobs might AI displace? So as we described, AI is going to first displace the repetitive jobs, and that's probably within the next 5 years. Then it will replace the more routine jobs. And then it will go after the optimizing jobs, jobs that don't require deep thinking, but just requires checking a radiology picture, an MRI or CT, and determining whether someone has cancer or not. So that would be an optimizing job. What remains safe are jobs that are really complex, that require strategy, analytical thinking, reasoning across domains, common sense, and then jobs that are creative, jobs that requires you to come up with new ideas that no one has ever had before. And when we think about the AI taking over some of the jobs and tasks, it's really not just the blue collar. Many people think, oh, the factory worker, the assembly line, those will go first. Oh yes, those jobs are endangered, but the white collar jobs are also potentially endangered. I gave the example of robotic process automation. You can imagine if an HR department starts using that and it's being used for collecting resumes, and once that works well, some people are replaced, it can go on to do email communication with the candidates. It can set up the interviews. It can coordinate the feedback. It can help facilitate decision making and even do an offer negotiation once it understands a candidate. So once HR departments uses AI for recruiting, then it can think about using AI for training, for orientation, for performance evaluation. And when HR departments use more and more AI, then other departments like finance, legal, marketing, sales, customer service, they will follow. So AI displacement will not be immediate. It will take some time for it to find an entry into a company. But once it goes in, technologies will spread. So AI displacement is inevitable, it's gradual, and eventually it is also nearly total for the purpose of taking over routine work. So as we think about us and our next generations, many of our jobs will be potentially in danger. And also when we think about our children, also what are the hopes of their careers? How will they get educated? And if you have a 1-year-old, how do you envision their future? And what should they study? And how should the future of education be evolved? So to answer these questions, I think we should ask an important new question, which is what AI cannot do. And what I can tell you is that the AI, there are several things that AI cannot do. AI cannot create, conceptualize, or plan strategically. While AI is very good for optimizing a narrow objective, it's unable to pick out what objective that should be, or set its own goals or think creatively. So nor can AI have any common sense or think across complex domains. But the other key thing for us to realize is that AI also cannot feel or interact with empathy and compassion. That's something we believe is innate with human beings. So a robot trying to take care of an elderly person or making someone feel understood and cared for, that's not likely to be easy to do. And even if AI can kind of fake it, humans are unlikely to accept it. So putting these, there are 3 dimensions here. Let's put the first 2 dimensions on the picture. We've seen the x-axis before, going from repetitive tasks all the way to creative tasks. And more to the right are the human, more to the left are for the AI to do. But we also talked about the second dimension, which is about empathy and compassion. So let's add that as a second axis, the y-axis. The lower part would mean there would need to be less of empathy and compassion. Higher would be more empathy and compassion. So we now have divided all the jobs and tasks into 4 quadrants. On the lower left ones, the low creative and the low compassion, of course, we would expect these to be done gradually by AI. Those are the jobs that we talked about replaced in the first parts of this talk. Those are really the only jobs seriously endangered. If we move to the lower right, these are maybe lower compassion required, but require a high degree of productivity, like a scientist. Well, that's actually an area where there's a great opportunity for human-AI symbiosis. That is, for AI to assist the scientist, for example, by proposing possible compounds, chemical compounds and proteins, and generating them in a generative chemistry using AI in terms of what are most likely to pass clinical trials and what are most likely to be effective for certain diseases. And then the human scientists will then select from those and do experiments. So it's really human AI working together. On the upper left are the most interesting examples because they are not necessarily the most creative jobs, but they require a lot of human touch and compassion and trust between humans and humans. So that's where one could potentially take AI as an analytical engine and really wrap the human warmth around it in these kinds of in these kinds of jobs. For example, the doctor's job will no longer be the doctor having to memorize and have an encyclopedic knowledge of everything about medicine, but rather doctor can rely on an analytical AI engine that can give very accurate diagnosis and prescription and treatment, but the doctor will use his or her warmth and care and touch and win the trust of the patient in order to come up with the best diagnosis, to tease out the patient's all the pre-existing conditions, family issues, and other issues, and get the patient to talk and to trust, and visit the patient at home, give the patient confidence that he or she will recover. And all these things will actually be very helpful to the patient, is actually quite lacking in our healthcare systems. But if the doctors can move from attempting to be AI and memorize all the new treatments and drugs, going into more of a compassionate caregiver, letting AI do what it does best with numbers and data, that I think is a transformative impact on the physician profession. And the same can be extrapolated to teachers and many other jobs So again, it's a great symbiosis of AI doing what it does best and letting people do what only people can do. And of course, on the upper right, with high creativity and compassion, that's where humans will excel. So there you have it. It's a blueprint of how humans and AI can and will work together. So while we're seeing increasingly AI can do more and more tasks, there are still many things that only humans can do. So let's move to the last topic. In light of the still significant challenges of AI displacement of jobs, or some would call technologically driven unemployment, what are the solutions for us and for our children? I outlined these in 3 categories. In order to survive and thrive in the AI economy, I would say we have to relearn, recalibrate, and build a new renaissance. So what do I mean by relearn? Relearn is the process for the people who are displaced from routine work to learn work that is not displaceable. So I think vocational schools need to redesign their curricula to consider the fact that auto mechanics are going to be needed less and less. Plumbers may be a little safer, but nurses will be a job that will increase a lot. So this reallocation needs to be made. The second area is recalibrate. I think a lot of jobs we really need to creatively think about how to recalibrate them. We need to make sure all the professionals are not just doing the same job they've been doing, but are able to learn AI-based tools. So that, as we discussed, AI-based scientists should use AI tools. AI-based medical scientists should use AI-based molecule generation programs. There will be AI tools being used in all kinds of places for people who are artists, who are writers, and the future doctors will need great AI diagnostic tools. The future of teachers will need to rely on AI for helping each student to get a customized education and an entertaining education by having one-on-one AI to student kind of customized teaching. But then the teacher will change the job into one where the teacher is more of a mentor to help the child to grow into someone that fits into the AI economy. So we also think there will be many new jobs that will be created. And we don't quite know what they are, but we should definitely be on the watch for what they can, for the opportunities that will arise. The last opportunities is the most fun. I call that Renaissance because it's really celebrating the human creativity, compassion, and humanity. Just like in the Italian cities that really the merchants funded the Renaissance, AI will create a phenomenal amount of wealth that can fund a new Renaissance. AI will inject interesting flexibility. People can perhaps work fewer hours, follow their passion, develop their talents, really go after and become the people they really want to be. And with more time, I think there will be people who could be part-time artists, sculptors, writers, photographers, and also educators, I think, freed from the drudgery of having to grade homework, which AI will do. The teachers will be able to unleash their energy to design lessons that encourage curiosity, creative thinking, and critical thinking. So this Renaissance, I think, is the most exciting and the fun part. So lastly, just to conclude, I think we're definitely seeing AI making a huge impact in the society. AI will do routine jobs for us, and that means we have to figure out ways to transition people along and also make sure that the people are aware they need to be looking at a new AI era where the most important skills are different than before. So to conclude on this talk, we anticipate AI will dramatically change the world. At first, it looks like AI will take away a lot of jobs and tasks. But when we analyze it, we actually see what AI can and will do is take away the routine jobs. And while even that places significant challenges, and for us to really have to think about the 3 R's on how to overcome the next 15 to 20 years where routine jobs are being taken away. But if we look a bit beyond that, beyond the 15 and 20 years, what we see is that AI will have truly liberated us from having to do routine work and really be able to focus on the exciting, the fun, the passionate things. And these, after all, are the reasons why we came to this earth.